Okay, it looks like we are going live. I think we are live. So, how's everybody doing today? Lots of developments over the last week, to say the least. We have President Trump flexing his muscles, which I, for one, am glad to see. So, as we allow people to pile in here, let me know where you're at. If you're on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out, throw some questions in the chat. Let me know where everybody's located. If you're on Rumble, YouTube, or X, please give us the positive affirmation sign and let me know if you have any questions, send them in the chat. So I think the chat is working now on Rumble, X, and YouTube. So if somebody is on one of those feeds, send me a message in the chat so I can see whether or not it's working. And as I said, if you're on TikTok, let me know where you're at, where you're located, so I can say hello. And let's get some questions going here. There's so much going on. Christine's here. Hey, Christine from Hayesville, Kansas. Welcome, Kansas. Welcome, Christine. So, as I said, there's a lot happening right now, especially here in California. We've got the military on site. One of my friends, Ronnie, who should be joining us here any moment, he is he was on Pacific Coast Highway over the weekend and sent me some video of the amount of military vehicles that are on Pacific Coast Highway. Yes, it's under the guise of here's Ronnie, I think, right now. Let's see here. Okay, Ronnie, I think I brought you on. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Ronnie. So I was just telling everybody that you sent me some video of Pacific Coast Highway over the weekend, and there was a litany of military vehicles there.
Oh, yeah. They had Hummers, military personnel. Half of PCH was closed. Every corner, every square inch was the military Hummers, the beige Hummers, fire trucks, helicopters, you name it. It looked like they were getting ready for war.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably partly what's going on. Hold on, I'm trying to get this copied here. Stand by.
Not to mention those big military ships that were right off the coast by Ventura.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on, you guys. So, again, if you're on TikTok, send me a note. Let me know where you're at. Double tap that screen. Share this live out to as many people as you can. That would be great. So we've got Sunny from Italy. Wow, welcome, Sunny. We have Leonard Little, 925 from Lenny, Newport News, Virginia. Welcome, Leonard. Mo said, what's the strategy for the government employee no telework policy? You know, I don't know all the details on that, Mo. I think that President Trump has made it clear that people need to be in the office. But, you know, as I reported on a few days ago, when the inaugural letter went out, it didn't say Washington, D.C. It said the city of Washington. So as I said, wow, there's a heck of a lot going on. And we're only getting bits and pieces. And I think a lot of this is specifically to keep, you know, people calm as the transition takes place. But again, no way to tell what's actually happening. So we've got William J. Clinton, 1979 from South Carolina. Welcome, William.
So, Sam, what do you think about Mar-a-Lago potentially being the nation's capital now?
Well, I think there's probably some truth to that. We'll have to see how it plays out. Hey, Lil's here. Hi, Lil. Spirit Speaker Lillian. Welcome. Good to see you, Lil. Terry J. from Minnesota. Swamp Fox from Floresville, Texas. Welcome.
Mr. Glenn. Fallbrook, California, by San Diego.
Yeah, it's inland a little bit. Mr. Glenzilla said a whole heck of a lot going on in the background. Boy, isn't that an understatement? Very, very true, Glenzilla. So we have Frank Rourke from New Hampshire. Welcome, Frank. Cindy said, because now it doesn't belong to England District of Columbia, so now we made it a state. I agree. I think that we have, as I said, many things going on behind the scenes. And I think that you have to be careful with the population. You have to bring them up slowly in terms of what's going on. Otherwise, people are going to freak out. So we have over on YouTube, we have Mac Tools. Hey, welcome, Mac Tools. And we have Metal on YouTube. Welcome, Metal. So
Melissa Winters says, hi, Sam.
Who said that?
Melissa Winters 302.
Melissa Winters. I don't see that. Oh, yeah. Hi, Melissa. I don't think that's the same Melissa. Oh, here's Tracy. Let's see if we can bring Tracy on. All right, Tracy, I just sent you the invite. Let me know if you got that, if you can pop on.
Now, would you be able to tell our viewers about that unhinged...
Hold on, Ronnie, 1 second. Tracy, you there?
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing pretty darn well. How about yourself?
Awesome. Great to see you here.
You too. Everybody, we have a very special guest. Tracy Clark is with us on the live. She is an energy specialist. She is phenomenal. Tracy, tell everybody a little bit about what you do.
I always say we shift people's lives. Everything like what you do financially, we serve people to understand like why they do the things they do, why you're frustrated right now and the world is, changing, why you want it so badly and it feels like it's not happening. It's, getting people to understand really what is going on in their life and why and how you actually can change it. And at a really fast speed. And Sam, I had to do it myself in my own life. So I speak from full experience of dying over and over again. Finally decided we'd stop dying.
Oh, yeah, you have definitely had your bumps in the road. There's no question. Now tell people, everybody too, Tracy, you have an academy, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's it's called the Bright Side Academy. Yeah, we have an academy where people can learn because I always believe you have to know tools and learn. No different than you and I've had great conversations about, what's your body telling you? It's always given us a compass. So to learn how to use that on the fly, whether it's health, finances, intuition, we focus on all the areas. But I'm happy to see you here.
I'm glad to see you too. It's been way too long. We haven't spoken in quite some time.
And the world is upside down on its head, and I'm sure a lot of people are going, why? Some people saying we've been waiting for it forever, like you and I, for decades. And other people, I heard you say when I popped on, there is a slower process because people are scared. Yeah. They're very scared. And if we rip the Band-Aid off, we'd see... I don't know about you, but I've really been picking up a lot. These next 8 weeks, we're going to see a lot of chaos in the streets.
Well, I think it's already happening. I was reporting this morning, Tracy, that there are military vehicles strewn throughout California.
Oh, wow.
Ronnie, who is on with us right now, a friend of mine.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hi.
He sent me some footage over the weekend. There are a litany of military vehicles strewn up and down Coast Highway under the guise of the fires. But I think it's much more than that behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, the corruption, right? It's no accidents. We all know that a lot of that devastation, unfortunately or fortunately, is wiping out evidence too at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes than people realize.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and those in Canada about Canada becoming the 51st state, possibly?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people, they kind of brush it sideways, but you and I know, I'm like, it's simple facts, guys. The Prime Minister ran the country into the ground. We're a corporation, and corporations, when they run into the ground, are ripe for takeovers. But it's because of the level of disgust up here with the citizens who don't uprise like you guys, which more of them, when they did, there was a lot of pushback, like trucker convoy and stuff. But a lot of people, literally, the sentiment is fine. Let's join. Who cares? As much as the politicians have a pushback, people in general are like, yeah, we're done. We're done living this way, and it means we unite. We have the sad thing that people don't understand about Canada is Dubai gets it. You know how Dubai is tax free because they use their resources, right, to feed their country, so the citizens don't pay those taxes. Well, we have as many resources, if not more, and a lot of their the prominent people in Dubai will talk a lot about why has Canada not taken that? So we're so enslaved, so in debt on taxation, yet our resources have all been outsourced and raped and pillaged. And so, yeah, should be a tax-free country when you look at the amount of resources that are up here.
Well, and I think that's part of why President Trump in the beginning said no tax on tips, and then it was no tax on Social Security, and then it was no tax on overtime. He's moving towards the no tax model. And again, I think it's already been done. I have it on good authority from personal experience that the IRS was merged with its Department of Treasury back in March of 2020. And I think now what we're seeing is the public reveal of what's already taken place. Just my opinion.
Oh, I would agree. Plus, also what we're seeing, though, with that is fear of people, unlike all of us that are here that understand you have to be accountable for your own life. There's a whole sector of population that doesn't understand because they're so used to being directed by a government narrative, right? So now they have to think for themselves, feel for themselves. And we all spend a lot of time helping people navigate that, take your power back and you're a sovereign being. So start to think for yourself and make decisions based on that versus what an institution tells you.
Absolutely. And we're moving towards that more autonomous model. And as you know, with the transition, with the energy levels, the moving from the Pisces to Aquarius, I think that's all part of it. But you're the expert on that, so you tell us what you think about that.
Well, ending 26,000 years it's been happening slowly, but definitely the lid's been blown off. So how we function, but even people don't realize this last weekend, a lot of people with vertigo or tired or not feeling well. It was a massive inner cellular upgrade of how we communicate with ourselves and the energies outside of us, our thought process. So a lot of people were feeling tired, lethargic, they didn't understand. And I said, it's a natural upgrade. We've had some very powerful upgrades in the last 2 years, but this year will be everyone we go through every month. It's happening every day, but there's certain shifts, as you know, on a planetary level. It'll be more intense than ever before. So basically, people have to understand their physical body is getting ready to let go of so much programming that there will be more irritation with people that their actions and words don't line up. And that's all institution, family, friends. There's going to be a lot of discomfort, but also this is a year of a lot of mass exodus too that people have to reconcile with on the planet because of the energetic upgrade. There's a lot of people in 2012 that decided not to be here during this time, and this is another final push, and why we're seeing so many people show up with sickness and gone like 2 days later, the kind of thing.
Right.
Speaking of energy, what do you pick up from Gavin Newsom's unhinged interview?
Oh, you mean because his real mask is showing? And the fact that people have to see the truth of who he is?
Yes, when he was using foul language and just being very unprofessional as a governor.
Yeah, so basically with the energy shifts, and you'll see this, so this is happening, it's almost like, so a lot of the politicians, I didn't see that, but just tuning in, a lot of the political people, let's just say influential people, even movie stars, stuff like that, they will be showing people their true self. And that's what that was about, where people can't just say he had a bad day. There's no more justifying people's actions and bad behavior. So when you look at that energy, he almost looks like, it actually almost looks like he was told to do it, so people actually could see the truth.
Well, and that may not be too far from the truth, Tracy, in my opinion. Let me do a little bit.
He looks like he was told. Yeah, you can see it. He looks like someone told him they're gonna know who you are. Like he had to do it.
Right.
He had to do it, so people could see the truth of what's going on behind these political figures.
Exactly. Let me do some house cleaning here. Susie Kabluzzi's here. Hi, Susie. Joe Buckwheat 2. Welcome, Joe. Gadavo says they agree. I agree with that as well. Ernie said, I talked to a Canadian today. He's moving his business to the United States to get by the tariffs. Interesting.
Yep. No, well, that's interesting. Yeah, they're probably not going to happen the way they think. But
Yeah, I don't think much of what we're seeing is the way
No.
I believe the military was coming anyway, and I believe that it happened a long time ago. But it's the slow rollout. You can't drop a frog into boiling water; they're either going to die or jump out. So you have to bring the temperature up slowly, and I think that's the process we're in the middle of.
Yeah.
Christine Westjohn said, "I agree with Tracy. I think a lot of us do." Ashley's here. Hi, Ashley. Nice to see you. We have Tonto from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Lord Bullion's here. Hey, Lord, nice to see you again. Susie said she's getting lag. It's just her service. I'm guessing so, Susie, because I'm not getting any other complaints. If you're on TikTok, double tap that screen. Let's share this live out. Tracy, I forgot to tell you, we are live on YouTube, Rumble, and X as well. So if you're on those other platforms, please give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation sign. It's truly appreciated. So yeah, Dawn's here too. Hi, Dawn. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of shifting taking place, not only in the financial sector, the information sector, the agriculture sector, the physiology, the mental health. Everything is switching now.
Have you noticed, Sam, when Newsom did do that interview, he's like, I could be out in a couple weeks or a couple months. Now, why would he say that when his term officially ends at the end of 2026?
Yeah.
Well, there's another recall going with him. And again, I don't think what we're seeing optically is truly what's happening. I think there's been multiple moves made already in the background. And it's a slow roll process to bring the population up to speed. What do you think, Tracy?
Yeah, I agree. A lot of these people know their time has come to an end. So again, it's like in our world, if you look at anything, whatever people deem it, evil, bad, dark energy, there's so many terms. It's all right. Is they have one rule is they can't hide the truth. They have to tell you what they're doing in plain sight. And a lot of people don't understand this principle. So if you look at governments and you look at banks and you look at, institutions, school systems and stuff, they always tell you what's happening. Most people are just not paying attention. And so once you start to pay attention, you realize they have to seed it. He will be gone, but there's the amount of house cleaning, I think, that's already been done. When you look at the energy, people will be very surprised to really realize how much house cleaning has been done. And this is like, they always show it, the images, and you ever been to a bar and it's late night and they turn the lights on and you see the mess and they got to clean up after everybody's left. We're in the mess phase for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. I agree. And as I said,
he knows his days are numbered. You could tell on his face.
Well, I hate to say, I shouldn't say this, but he's not, he was co-opted a long time ago. If you want to talk about evil, we're seeing the purest of evil in a lot of these people come out, like literally no soul. And I know for some people they're like, what? It's like, how you wonder how people could commit an act against somebody else. And it seems so heinous to us. They literally have no feelings, no soul of what they're doing.
Right.
He's the perfect villain. He's the perfect villain. He's handsome, has the $100 Hollywood smile. He fits the characteristics of the perfect villain.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's essentially 90% of Congress in America has been that. And they're being dealt with in a way that is not optically visible to most people, but nevertheless, it's happening. And it's happening since President Trump optically became president. And I say optically because I think we all know what I think in terms of what's really been going on the last 4 years. But this is something that is the term I think that they use, Great Awakening, is really an understatement, based on what's actually happening. Tracy, do you follow the Schuman Resonance at all?
Yes.
Okay, so have you seen the spikes that we've been experiencing for close to at least a year now, right?
Oh yeah, for a couple of years. Literally, a lot of people really became more aware probably during the COVID, like during lockdown times.
Yeah.
Because that was such a powerful time that using, because there was a lot of people had read the reports that came out probably a decade ago before the scenario we just walked through, and prior to that. And so the reason
that narrative had to also unfold was because if you understand the Schuman resonance and the frequencies of where humanity was going, it was like a last ditch effort to try to dumb people down, because there was too many people waking up too quickly, and that resonance was awakening our internal, I call it our internal CPU. We're like computers, right? We get upgraded all the time. And so people's hard drives, which is their heart, I call it a hard drive, was recalibrating quite quickly. So a lot of people, you could look at it like an iPhone. If you were on iPhone 2, you needed to get up to iPhone 16. Well, that's a lot of jumps. So the resonance as it's moving and people are looking at the frequencies, our bodies have to catch up. So that also creates a lot of turmoil, right? Because when your body shifts and changes and we as a collective shift and change, it shines the light darker, like brighter into the dark. So the dark can't hide anymore. And that's why you're seeing a lot of this snaky like energy being exposed.
Right. I agree.
In the corporations. Yeah.
So over on YouTube, we have several questions here. We have Emmanuel Tameen is saying, can you help me? I'm not sure exactly what it is that you want help with, Emmanuel. If you can give me some more explanation in the chat, I'd be happy to do my best, or Ronnie or Tracy. But yeah, I think this exposure phase, a lot of us that have been in this a long time, like you and I, Tracy, we wanted it to happen much quicker, and it's moving a lot slower than we expected. But I think there's a reason for that. I think that, as I said, we would literally shock people out of existence had they known even 10% of the truth. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. It's, I just say to people, look at it like we're going through a bad divorce, and not everybody gets on the same page at once, and breaking up with that old, and you have good days and bad days. But, for you and I, who it's been decades, it seems very, very slow. But if you look at the amount of people that have woken up in the last 5 years to the truth, it's moving quicker than ever. And I'm sure you both see this, that you've had family members or friends who thought you were absolutely crazy, who are now going, yeah, tell me what you know, something's wrong. And that's the greatest gift we can give to anyone. But a lot of people that are not on the train now are going to be getting off the train. So the best way to bring the most people along is slow and steady. When they're ready, they're ready.
100%.
I agree. And one of the phrases I use to represent that is, I've seen more people wake up in the last 4 years than the last 4 decades.
Right?
Yes. It's accelerating at a pace that I didn't think we'd see in my lifetime, but it's happening now.
Yeah. I've personally witnessed that with my family members. About 2 years ago, I would tell my family, guys, be careful of these jabs. I don't trust them. There's something fishy behind them. And I had probably a dozen family members tell me I'm crazy and I'm this and I'm that. Yeah. Well, all maybe 8 or 9 people that got those jabs that now have medical conditions that they didn't have prior, this very day tell me, Ronnie, I think you were right. I think you were onto something. How did you know? And I would tell them, guys, ask yourself one question. Who benefits and what benefits when things come out? Who benefits from these jabs? Who benefits from the sickness? Why do they offer this and not that? So yes, I've experienced that in my own family, that a year or 2 ago, I was a crazy person. Now they're coming to me for wisdom.
Well, and also you're so right. Like I would say to people, isn't it interesting that the politicians' narrative was overriding what they would call science. Okay, what's your science is discounting their science. So we have top medical doctors that now they're wrong, even though they've been top medical doctors. So looking at their actions, right, were enough to go, whoa. And when you're saying to someone, you can't go to work. So where I live, I literally experienced the fullness of wasn't allowed in a coffee shop, wasn't allowed anywhere, was not allowed anywhere because I didn't have papers. Okay, I'm complete with myself that I'm okay not going anywhere. It didn't do anything to me. But in terms of going, how do you guys not see I need papers to get into a restaurant. Okay. Like, again, these flags that people never really anchored in on versus, you know, their narrative was, well, I want my family to be safe. Okay, but you don't have anything to back that up other than a TV told you.
Right, exactly. And for the people that did not succumb to that particular, you know what, they resisted, people like us resisted $1 trillion ad campaign trying to get them to do it. And that's part of this process of waking up. Michael Joseph said, what do you mean awake? Well, Michael, the only way I can explain it is there are what we consider to be truth versus what's actually happening. So there are levers of power that have been in control for a long time that don't want you to know the truth. And as you begin to learn the truth, what we term is called an awakening, where people are waking up to what the actual truth is. Not what they're being told, but what the actual truth is. And that those levels of being awake, there's different levels. It's not once you're awake, that's it. It's a process. And there's some people that are lower on the scale of that process, others that are mid, others that are higher. Depending upon how long you've been in this and what you're willing to let go of in terms of cognitive dissonance, that determines being awake at whatever level. Anything you want to add to that, Trace?
Yeah, and understanding, like, it's kind of an epiphany where you go, so say you've gone to school, you've been the good little girl or boy, you've studied, you've learned, you've gone to university, you've got a job, you're supposed to pay your taxes, and then, you know, I don't know, retire, grow old, and die, be in the system. And at some point, you realize that all of that narrative doesn't work for you anymore, and you realize something's wrong. It's like a gnawing, right? You go, something's wrong. And a lot of very aware people from a young age, they don't like school. They don't understand why they're there. They're like, I feel like I'm in a rat race. Something is wrong. And that's really the first pinpoint where someone says, something feels wrong, and they start to investigate it more. And then that leads people to have a greater awareness, like you're saying, right? To go, oh, these systems have not been honest with me. I know something's wrong.
Right.
But then that also trickles over to your own life, right? Where you realize that maybe the more aware you become, you realize that people around you have been also feeding that same narrative, and it becomes more difficult to live with them and be around them and have them in your circle.
Right.
So Vic, into the matrix.
So exactly. Vic said, my granddaughter's husband thinks I'm nuts. Laugh out loud. I wish he would just listen and wake up. Vic, if I could encourage you, 35, 40 years ago, when I would talk to people about some of these things, they looked at me like I had a horn coming out of the front of my forehead. Mm-hmm. And back then, I would try to give people a drink of water from a fire hose. And I've learned over the years that a person's not ready until they're ready. And trying to push them into that state of awakening, it's not up to us. It's up to them. And all you can do is plant seeds, water that seed when the appropriate times reveal themselves. But hang in there. It's going to get better. More and more people are waking up. And I would encourage you to just continue what you're doing in a way that is loving and accepting as much as possible. And you'll see the results. It'll just happen that way.
Yeah.
So, Jody Bates, our government was actually never for us. Our government hasn't been for us in 110 years.
Right. 6U7Y8 said the wizard is pulling open the curtain. Very true. There's a lot of truth in that. Share Baby 29 said, I knew right away not to take the you know what, told family not to either. Good, Share. And there was a lot of people, as you can imagine, how many people I spoke with. Some were receptive to it, some were not. Some in my own immediate family took it, and there was nothing I could do about it other than come alongside them, love them, and support them as this process continues, which is going to be for quite some time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Little 925 said the United States citizens have been lied and ripped off for a very, very long time, more than a year. That's very true. For decades, and you could even argue for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But again, those veils are being lifted. Kelly said, question everything. I agree. That is one of the keys that we need to teach our kids, is how to critically think. That's something that they are not taught in school, because they're taught to live a certain way based on certain rules and parameters so that they become good followers, not free thinkers.
Exactly.
And a lot of the, I think I'd say this here, but a lot of the woke narrative came in strong in the last 10 years to confuse the minds so they could continue to control the narrative. And unfortunately, we knew it wasn't going to last long, but there's a lot of deprogramming that's going to have to happen over the next 10 years for a lot of people. And that's going to be very difficult for a lot of people who drank the woke Kool-Aid. It's going to be very hard for them.
Right. Well, and it's the same old playbook, Tracy. It used to be black versus white, straight versus gay. And now it's just evolved to what I consider to be a very insane level. And I think it was done that way specifically to wake people up. Because some of these things are so far gone, so far over the top, that any rational person, for the most part, will see what's really going on.
Oh yeah, it's like up here in the schools and the colleges, the consensus is we're if you have 50,000 students in a college, you're catering to less than 300 of them in this narrative. So it shows you a big divide right there, right?
Right, exactly. So, as I said, we're moving through a point in time where lots of things are changing, lots of things are in flux. Do your best to get outside, get some sunshine, breathe deep, meditate, pray if you're so inclined, because it's going to be a little rough, I think, moving forward. I think we've already won the war, but that doesn't mean that we're not still going to have some battles.
Fallout, basically.
Right, exactly. Hey, everybody on TikTok, if you would double tap that screen, share this live out to everybody. Let's get more people in here. It raises our ratings and it helps us, and I thank you for that. If you're on Google, if you're on YouTube, X, or Rumble, give us the thumbs up, the positive affirmation button, and send us something in the chat if you have a question about something. So, Tracy, what's the weather like up there right now?
Cold.
No, thank you.
It's below zero and snow. My dog won't even go outside. He lifts his paws and looks at me and runs back in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Don't feel bad. It's freezing here in Southern California.
You know, I was talking to a client earlier today. She's in, one in Florida, one in Texas. And they're like, oh yeah, it's so cold and it's so shit. I'm like, what's happening? But again, the weather phenomenon, right?
It's like 60 degrees. It's freezing here.
Yeah. we're minus 20. So, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's a negative.
Exactly. Hey, everybody. Susie 6U7Y8, Emily, thank you for the gifts. Everybody, if you can send a gift, great. It raises our ratings. It helps us to reach more people. If you can double tap that screen to share out this live, that would be wonderful.
We need one more star, and we're trying to reach a goal of 50 confettis for Sam. So if you guys can, please send party confetti.
Yeah, okay, great. So when are we going to get you down here to California, Trace, is what I want to know.
Yeah, that's the next thing. You and I have been talking about that for a while, right? Escape.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, there you go.
Susie.
And if President Trump gets his way, we
feeling...
may not have to have any kind of passport to do so.
Yeah, it'll probably be sooner than later. That's for sure. The rate that it's all moving and shifting. So I used to spend a lot of time in the States in the last 5 years, as you know, with everything that went on. It just sort of, we were locked down more than you guys were, for sure. And then that just sort of shifted the dynamics a lot. Plus, as I think a lot of people, you know, lost a few parents and people along the way that we had to tend to. So that seems to be all behind us and ready now to get back down into the States. And yes, I haven't been to California for a little while.
So tell me what the temperature is with Canadians in terms of this rhetoric that we're hearing about the 51st state.
Well, you know what? Like I said, they're very, a lot of them are very open. People think that Canadians are kind of like go with the flow. A lot of times they are. They won't uprise as much as you might think. But Canadians are like, they're done. They're tired. Like, if you had spent 5 minutes looking into who was
I like to say illegal elected into the parliament up here. And I have some personal ties into those spaces from my old business world when I was in banking. And yeah, the country's been running to the ground. There's nothing left. We're so broke. The country is so broke. Last year, Canadians paid. So we only have 40 million people. We paid 500 trillion in taxes. Think about that. Like it was ridiculous. It was 500. We paid $500 billion. So we paid 500 billion. Oh, crap. We paid $500 billion in taxes with 40 million people. Like we have a tax on a tax on a tax on a tax that this little monkey's brought in. And so if you look at the debts that have been accumulated, we know the money's all gone out of the country to friends, but people like a crap garage is $1 million.
Right.
Anywhere. Yep. Like you can't buy a home, you can't buy food. Like the inflation is worse than most places. So when Trump says you get a 60% tax break right away, oh yeah, Canadians are at the point where they're going, I don't care what you have to do. I don't care if you sell the country. I don't care. We can't live. So in your tax bracket, to put it in perspective, our highest tax bracket is $100,000 and you're taxed at 50%.
Wow.
Now that's before you pay a 13% HST, a carbon tax. Like we pay $1.60 a liter for gas.
Wow.
$1.60 a liter, which I think is like what, $12 a gallon or something? Like,
jeez,
it's obscene.
Yeah, it is. And I think
it's pretty bad in California too. We're no shy to inflation and taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, I think it had to get this bad in order for people to wake up. It had to be so far off the charts that it forced people to take a look at it.
Yeah, so people are like, if that's what we need to do to dissolve. And I think the other thing that people, when you look at Trump, the difference is no one's ever a savior, but you got a businessman versus a politician, which is a big difference, right? And
exactly.
To put it in perspective, a long time ago in one of our provinces, which is our richest province, oil and gas, Alberta, the premier, he had a grade 8 education at the time, and he was a businessman. And he brought in the billionaires he knew and said, what do we need to do to turn this province around and make money? And he took his lead from the billionaires, and the province became very wealthy, very flush with money. And then after he passed, then we got these, basically Democrat-like people, yahoos, spent everything and ran everything into the ground. So if you look at Trump, I always look at Trump and, having lived in that province for a long time, I'm like, Trump's doing the same thing. He's a genius businessman. What do? You work the system. That's exactly what business people do. And you minimize taxation, and the way they twist this around all the time with Trump, I'm like, he's a businessman.
Right.
And that's what you need to turn the country around. And he'll get all his businessmen friends. They're not politicians. That's the difference.
Right. Exactly. That's a huge portion of it.
He already brought $1 trillion into the country in 1 week of being the president. He has literally done more for the economy and more for these natural disasters in 1 week than the Biden administration has done in 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He didn't spend $1 trillion. He made $1 trillion in 1 week from Saudi Arabia and other foreign countries.
Right.
Businessman.
People wear clothes, sent a rose. Thank you. Susie sent a couple of confettis. Thank you so much. As I said, if you're on TikTok, double tap that screen and share this live out. If you're on YouTube, Rumble, or X, please give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. So, I think when you have a businessman who's not beholden to the old cabal, who is a free thinker, he is a threat. And that's why he's been attacked to the degree that he has over the last 8 years. But again, I think we have much more going on behind the scenes than most people realize. And as we move forward, now with the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, now that we have cryptocurrencies being deregulated here in America, now that you have President Trump saying, don't sell your Bitcoin, and we want to be the #1 capital in the world for AI and cryptocurrency, things are about to get really, really good.
Speaking of the money, Sam, is it true that the Federal Reserve is a privately owned organization.
Yes. So the Federal Reserve was created in 1913 by a bunch of bankers off of New York in a place called Jekyll Island. It's a completely separately owned company, has really nothing to do with our government. And the people that own it, the shareholders, are not necessarily all United States citizens. So in 1913, when it was created, is the same year that income tax was created and Social Security numbers. People don't realize that it was a specific directive to take down America, and by way of America, take down every other country in the world. Every other central bank is associated with the Federal Reserve. But again, I believe that is no longer the case. I know that the IRS and the Department of Treasury were merged in March of 2020, and now we're seeing a slow roll of what's something that's already happened being disseminated to the public. What do you think, Susie? Tracy.
All good. Yeah. And, I say to anybody, read the book, The Creature of Jackal Island. Like, it's an amazing book. And it 100%. And that's the smoke and mirrors, right? That the population has been fed with the Federal Reserve and all these institutions. But read the book. You'll get a huge eye opener, and you will go, well, read it slow because you might get mad as you read through it.
Right.
Take breeze.
And going back further with the Titanic, there was only two major bankers that opposed the Federal Reserve, and they happened to be on the Titanic when it sank. And within a very short amount of time, what took place? 1913. So these rabbit holes go deeper than most people realize. But you're absolutely right, Tracy. The monster from Jekyll Island, the creature from Jekyll Island. I read that 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I read it over 25 years ago. So it's The Creature from Jackal Island. You can get it on Amazon. I'm sure they're on, 5th, 6th, 7th edition, but it's worth reading it. And if you haven't and you're confused about what's going on, start there. It'll really give you a good understanding of what's happened in the banking systems and how, even we look at wars are all done because they wanted a central bank. Like, it's just, I don't know about you guys, maybe a little off topic. It just popped in my brain. I can't tell you how many military people I've been seeing and showing up going, we were duped. Like, going into these countries and sacrificing their lives and then being treated like crap at the end of it. Like, the narrative, they're like, we were really duped. Like, we shouldn't have been there. And it's good to see and sad at the same time of how many people that's a whole other area, right? Because it's all about money. They were like, we just realized we made them a bunch of money and sacrificed our lives. I'm like,
Yeah, and what they do is they take taxes from countries and then under the guise of foreign aid, money launder that money throughout the world. And when we had the crash here in 2007, 2008, and Obama was saying, it's an $800 billion bailout. Well, it wasn't. It was $23 trillion. And that money not only went to America, it went all around the world. So as that starts to be revealed, and as the stock market hypothecation begins to be more revealed, as the monetary system in terms of the US dollar becomes more and more revealed, lots of more people are going to wake up and they're going to find out just how much we've been lied to.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a big enchilada for sure. Yeah. And unfortunately now, where we were being fed the teaspoons of information and bits and digest it. Well, if you didn't get on the train now, you're just going to have to be eating mouthfuls at a time and trying to digest. It's like literally overeating dinner. You're just going to have to try to catch up. There's no slow mode anymore.
That's very true. Very true. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, we've been on for almost about an hour. I think it's time to jump off for a while. And Tracy, what an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Let everybody know who's on the live, where they can find you.
TracyLClark.com and all my social medias there. And I'll have to bug you about getting back onto my YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
All the social medias at once. We try the best we can. I said that today. I was like, I don't know. We get into our
50s and 60s. And I watch my kids. They're like TikTokers. They're live every day. And I'm like, how do you do that? That's kind of...
I know. Believe me, I get it.
Yeah. So I'm learning from you, Sam. I'm learning.
Well, and I do the same from you, Tracy. All right, Ronnie, let's have some final thoughts from you first.
Sit back, enjoy the show, think, observe, do your diligence, question everything, and no, Sam is not the brother of the actor Tony Shalhoub. And no, he's not Tony Shalhoub's brother. Maybe a distant cousin, but no.
Right, exactly. Tracy, final thoughts?
I have to agree with you, Ronnie. It's there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. You're going to feel tired. Take the rest. Don't feel like you, I'd say also too, don't be in big crowded places if you don't have to be over the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. Watch your surroundings. Try to stay low key with the people that understand you. It's going to keep your energy high. It's okay if you need to just zone out. Like you said earlier, Sam, but get outside, get some walks, get meditating, take some salt baths, but stay very connected with the people like all of you guys that are here today that understand what's going on. And if there's something you don't understand, like Ronnie said, just go research some more, come to places like this, ask questions, don't go into fear. It's going to be okay. We got to clean out the mess. So don't go into fear.
Very well stated. Okay, everybody. Thanks for being here. Tracy, wonderful. We'll talk soon.
You.
Ronnie, thank you for being here. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.